Slice looks to continue their win streak with a historic fourth straight win. Meanwhile, Meat French looks to turn snails into escargot, and newcomer Jay Pratt enters the fray. Can they dull Slice's dices? The truth will soon be known on the Clash of the Pencils live stream.
Turn on the stream tonight, short stories in the spotlight. Writers bring their best to light. The story central time. Breaking down the plot, characters that fought, twists that hit the spot. It's all you live tonight. Are you ready for some stories in a live stream glory? It's the contest of the year. Writers have no fear. Catch the suspense unfold. Feel the tales being told. Critiques fair and bold. The truth will soon be known. Dollars from far and wide. Mysteries you can't hide. Every twist takes the story right. By these rules we abide. Are you ready for some stories in a live stream glory? It's the contest of the year. Writers have no fear. Breaking down the plots.
All right, welcome to Clash of the Pencils live stream, the only full contact creative writing esports league in the history of America, the world, potentially the universe. So I am Tom Sherman, joined as always by Greg the Egg Peterson, and we are here to analyze the plot, character, and setting of the top short stories of the day. Every day, authors from across the internet submit a handwritten one-page story based off a prompt that gets revealed at the end of the live stream. And then the public at large votes for their favorite story, and we reveal the winner at the end of every show. So what does it take to get to the finals? Let's take a look at our keys to victory. There are three main elements that triangulate to create a story. That is plot, setting, and character. The closer the author can strike to the center of each element, the more engaging, visceral, and exciting that story will be. So keeping that in mind, Greg, what do you think authors need to focus on when they're dealing with something like today's prompt, which is a reverse Mad Libs? They need to use 5 phrases in their story: soulful eyes, Santa Fe, circadian rhythm, hullabaloo, and chump change.
I'm very excited, Tom. This is one of our first reverse Mad Libs in a while. I think that this is wide open. It's a canvas on which to paint. I don't know if there's really any plot, character, setting yet, other than there's some soulful eyes, and we may or may not be in Santa Fe, but that could be left open to interpretation. Many clever and creative ways to get those words into the story.
That is a fact. And so with that, let's just jump in and see what our authors have for us today. We're going to start with our rookie newcomer into the finals podium named Jay Pratt with this story.
I was rolling dice outside Uncle Wilson's Korean BBQ plus karaoke joint when she rolled up on me with those soulful eyes, and I knew we weren't in Santa Fe anymore. My circadian rhythm wouldn't stand a chance against that piercing gaze, her penetrating mien. I knew I would be up all night thinking of her, and the consequences would be dire. I was supposed to be at the factory by 4 a.m. Supervisor Mudd had been explicit about that, but I knew I wouldn't make it. Thick, hot, bulbous, viscous raindrops dripped from the eave above me and slapped the back of my neck as if to say, "Wake up, you young man." From the blaring car radio of an olive green 79 Chevy Impala passing by, the snarled vocals of Eric Burden called out for me to spill the wine, take that pearl. My heart went pitter-patter, and I knew I had to do it. I would risk it all for this woman. Empty the 401k, flip the Doge, and sell my stake in the Birds Only Fight Club, in which I'd recently invested. It wasn't much, but it wasn't chump change either. I had to have her. But as I began to open my mouth, giddy with anticipation, already planning our next 50 years together in the back of my mind, the door to Wilson's slammed open, and the bouncer yelled, Putman, Kelly Clarkson, you're up. And well, there are very few certainties in life, but I know you never walk out on a Kelly Clarkson karaoke opportunity. I sighed, nodded to the mysterious woman, and walked back into the hullabaloo of the club, ready to hit some breakaway. Love would have to wait.
Okay, so our narrator, Putnam, outside of Uncle Wilson's Korean barbecue and karaoke joint, shooting dice when a mysterious woman catches his eye, and then he falls madly in love, decides gonna sell the 401k, flip the Dogecoin, sell the stake in the Birds Fight Club, all the investments, and only to be snapped back to reality after the bouncer says, "Hey, it's your turn to sing Kelly Clarkson," and you only get so many chances in life to do that.
Wow, this was a journey. I feel like the atmosphere, I was there. The setting, Uncle Wilson's Korean barbecue and karaoke, we get sort of, I love how that is, it's late night, it's outside there. These are some soulful eyes, Tom. If they're getting you to think in those terms of liquidating all of your assets, and then you're snapped back to reality when the door opens and we've got the opportunity, presumably for what you've been waiting for the whole night. You've been waiting to 4 a.m. to do some Kelly Clarkson breakaway on the mic. And we get this really interesting trade-off. Is it the soulful eyes, or is it Kelly Clarkson breakaway? Ultimately, we chose our girl Kelly Clarkson.
Probably the smart call, you would think. I don't know. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the sort of mystery and intrigue, and a lot of the tension that builds up is just this sort of character caught in their own mind, which is great when they get snapped out of it by the raindrops from the eve. And like you said, I think the setting was probably the sharpest aspect of this story. I mean, it was very, all the key details, the car driving by playing the song and all those sorts of things puts you really right in that moment.
It wasn't just
you can really
it wasn't
empathize.
just any car, Tom. It wasn't just any car. It was an olive green 79 Chevy Impala with the snarled vocals of Eric Burden calling out to spill the wine, take that pearl.
Right. So yeah, I wasn't going to be able to quote that directly, so I'm glad you pulled that out for me. Yeah, that's good.
But the details, I want to emphasize, the details make the setting. They make the setting, and they get the believability or the authenticity of the narrator's voice here. It's interesting. This is a narrator that's very moved by music. The whims of their decision making seem to be what soundtrack is going on. And so their music is a big part of the story that determines the plot.
It really makes you wonder what they were listening to that made Putnam decide to shoot dice to begin with.
Shoot dice outside on the alley of the Korean barbecue and karaoke.
It
We
must have been quite a jam.
We are
All
not in Santa Fe anymore.
We are not in Santa Fe anymore. All right, so great start here from Jay Pratt. Let's see if Meat French can keep it going with their rendition for today's Reverse Mad Libs.
Under the flickering neon sign of Rusty Santa's Iron Emporium, Myrtle adjusted her circadian rhythm with a gulp of her usual black coffee. No sugar, no nonsense. The shop was an oddball relic on the outskirts of town, filled with things no one needed. Corroding iron reindeer, metal pineapples, Sue's iron Speedos, even a cast-iron bed for dogs. The owner, Santa himself, was no jolly gift giver. He was a scrawny man with soulful eyes and a love for causing hullabaloo. Tonight, the Emporium was alive with customers, but no one was buying. Myrtle knew why. They were here for the spectacle of Santa ranting about chump change customers who wouldn't appreciate a handcrafted iron sleigh if it laid them in the face. She smirked, watching him ramble, a weird charm in his madness. A crash echoed from the back. Myrtle peeked around the corner, finding a feral raccoon dancing on an anvil, covered in iron filings. Santa threw up his arms. See? Even he understands the value of art. Myrtle laughed. This place is nuts, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, so Myrtle is in the Santa's. Hold on, let me get this right. Is in Rusty Santa's Iron Emporium, iron in parentheses FE. So that's your Santa Fe. So in Rusty Santa's Iron Emporium, Myrtle walks around, watches uh watches Santa rail about how no one wants to buy any of this great rusted ironworks. Um, only to hear a crash in the back and see a feral raccoon dancing on an anvil covered in iron filings, and which Santa says, "See, now that character knows art right there."
Oh man, another setting. It's funny that the details of these places really make all the words come alive in totally different settings. But I could picture this world entirely. The clever Santa FE is a very, very clever way to smuggle in Santa Fe from one of the 5 Mad Libs. I liked the line. It was, what was the coffee when to adjust the
Oh yeah,
no
no
sugar,
sugar,
no
no
nonsense.
Yeah.
But we get this lovely, I don't know, menagerie of oddball relics on the outskirts of town. We get the corroding iron reindeer, metal pineapples, iron Speedos, cast iron bed for dogs. This is clearly the unnecessary excess of a retail shopping experience, all in rusting iron. And so there's this really interesting tension going on between trying to sell this kind of grizzled shop owner Santa who's trying to actually think about buying this, and then thinking about this in terms of art. And valuation is sort of that's the underlying preoccupation that's going on here. The last line is the clue to that. See, even he understands the value of art versus commerce. So we get some really interesting tension about what's the point of making all of this stuff, and really, what's the point of writing these stories, Tom?
It's about the same as a feral raccoon dancing on an anvil, I would think.
If that doesn't describe this live stream, I don't know what does.
I relate with that raccoon all the time, oddly enough. So 2 great stories here to start. We got to take a quick commercial break to clean up some dog vomit, but otherwise, we'll be right back.
Edge of the runway where dreams ignite. Tom Cruise stares down into the endless night. Birds of flight school stuck to the plan. Grow together, fly high hand in hand. Tom Cruise finds himself in the cockpit seat. Heart pounding, fist clenched, he can't be beat. He learns from the birds how to soar so high. Wings of steel under a violet sky. Birds of flight school grow with pride. Tom Cruise finding the hero inside. Together they'll rise into the unknown, learning the rhythm of the wind they flow.
That was some quick cleanup.
Wow, I can't.
Quick cleanup on aisle 5. That was some record fast cleanup.
I can't believe it only took me a minute, honestly. All right, so that's that dog vomit break was brought to you by Tom Cruise Birds of Flight School, where Tom Cruise learns to be Tom Cruise. All right, so for our third story today, normally we have one, and Slice was in the finals, yet our censors stopped it. The StoryFlix censors did not allow the story to go through. So not only that, it broke it. We tried to run another story afterwards. Racontuses was 4th place. That also didn't go through. That also Slice literally broke the algorithm.
Wow. That's a horse hockey alert and a half.
Horse hockey alert indeed. Let's just flash that real quick. So I don't know. I mean, if you want, I'll read the story, or you know what I mean. I don't know.
Let's read the story. Let's get in there and read the story.
All right. So
history is at stake.
History is at stake. This is a 4th in a row. So, folks, you're just going to have to use your old-fashioned imagination while you listen to this. So, this is a story from Slice. And let me just make sure the baby doesn't hit my mute mid. Yeah. Lid the kid in the control room. All right. All members of the Ghost Club agreed they needed to return home before venturing to the portal. It was getting close to 5 a.m., and Dell's father would soon be up and on the Peloton, which meant Yulia would be preparing breakfast for her employer's family. The club stashed the Pepsi van in the bad neighborhood and took the scooters home. Dell retrieved his other earring from Ruby, and she carried home the journal in her backpack. Implicitly, at least, this tied them together for the next adventure, Edgar saw them both think. Dell scooted up his private drive to see Yulia's busted Santa Fe already in the traffic circle. He tiptoed into the house and was immediately caught by Yulia as he opened the door. Yulia's silence said everything. For a moment, Dell thought they were communicating telepathically, but they weren't, and she shoved him into the bathroom as soon as his dad was heard walking down the steps. "What's all the hullabaloo?" Dell's father, Kurt, said. Yulia said she's been having digestive issues since she stopped nursing Dima. The doctor said it was because of changes to her circadian rhythm. The slight breeze of Kurt walking past her as she explained answered, "I don't care." Once he closed the door to his gym, she opened up the bathroom door and told Dell to get upstairs and change before his mom's sleep aids wore off. At 6:30 a.m. exactly, Kurt, Dell, and his mom, Noor, sat down at the breakfast table as Yulia served them. She lovingly scooped home fries, placed bacon strips, and slid eggs onto their plates. Noor's phone buzzed and dinged as she reviewed neighborhood chatter while the boys ate. She exclaimed monotonously outrages that had occurred while she slept. "Mrs. Doubtfire remake, Belarus invasion, goose flu, library collapse, flannel tariff, camera alert, Dell came home at 5 a.m., atmospheric warming, mayor resigned." Dell looked up at his father, who was inspecting a potato chunk. "Yulia, next time you cook this, remove these soulful eyes. As for the library, chump change. We'll rebuild it. Dell was here all night." Noor continued, panicked, muttering headlines as her food got cold. Kurt got up and went to work. That's the end. Sorry.
That was the end. Wow. It's a continuation of the saga that Slice has been sort of. This is a pretty epic slice of life for the family of the Pepsi executive that he's introduced several stories past.
That's right.
We get some interest. There's a lot of the words were embedded here. We get the busted Santa Fe in the traffic circle of the cook. We get, what are some of the other words? The hullabaloo. What's all this hullabaloo? The father says. We get the chump change. They're going to rebuild the library that came under last night. What I loved so much about this was that when Noor, the mom, is just kind of mindlessly reciting the headlines, that felt a lot like my morning routine. Mrs. Doubtfire remake, Belarus invasion, goose flu, library collapse. And that library collapse signifies how these huge stories get kind of compressed and consolidated into these one-word little headlines that fail to really register, even though there was such a saga there before. I like the fact that the chump change, they're going to rebuild it, and Dell was here all night, even though there's a camera alert that says Dell came home at 5 a.m. Seems like these parents are so out of touch that they missed the signal. Dell has been out all night. They stashed the van in a different neighborhood and rode scooters home.
Right.
To go on their next adventure, presumably in the portal.
Right. Presumably. That was it was great. I thought it was a great sort of every sort of long saga. This is an interesting because Slice has now stitched together these one-page vignettes into a long saga now. And so when you have an epic story and an epic saga, you can't always have plot, right? Sometimes you need a bit of a breather so that the reader as well as the characters in the story can kind of revamp, reorient, and so I thought this was a great way to do that, where it introduces some more of the characters in Dell's life and sort of some of his backstory, as well as sort of setting up, giving you that little breather while teasing out, there's another leg to go on. And then, like you said, I think that the reading of the headlines from his mom, who's not paying attention to him, just paying attention to the headlines, and his dad discounting everything that she says and saying no, none of that, I don't care, none of that's bad. And
Right.
Dell was here all the time. It's like two different types of ignorance to their child. It's very good.
Yeah.
World in general.
It's dueling indifference from both, but one sucked into the phone and one is a Pepsi executive trying to get to work. I thought there was some really, really elegant sort of parental indifference of what's all the hullabaloo. Because you could say what's all, like, if his wife had read the headlines, what's all the hullabaloo, he could have also said that there, but it was the physical disturbance. And then we get that the slight breeze of Kurt walking past her as she explained, answered, "I don't care." And I thought that was just such a poignant, just that strikes you right to the heart in terms of what Dell is dealing with.
Yeah. And then my one final sort of favorite little, I mean, is just how Slice worked in Soulful Eyes as part of the potato chop. So like Dell's father is now connecting with the most inanimate object possible, which is the eyes on this potato chunk. And he's like, look at these soulful eyes. But how many of either his wife, his son, or his nanny, how many people has he looked in the eye this morning?
It's the opposite of Jay Pratt, who's carried away by the mysterious woman's soulful eyes. This dad is just totally like, I need to eat. Like, don't have the soulful eyes in these potato chunks.
So great. All right. Well, there you have it. Those were our 3 stories. I already wasted my commercial break cleaning up dog vomit. So I guess we're just going to move into the next half of the show, which is I will click this button here and see who the winner is. Bum, 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 bum. It is Slice.
Wow.
4 in a row. Clean sweep last week. Good start to this week for Slice.
Incredible accomplishment. Under horse hockey alerts too.
Nonetheless,
there are asterisks galore, Tom.
a lot of folks, a lot of entities, a lot of fate fighting against Slice today, but Slice cutting right through it all, still coming down with the win. So good for them. And then let's see what else we need to do. We'll look at the prompt real quick. The prompt for tomorrow is there's been a mix-up. A Crocodile Chef's restaurant accidentally gets musical instruments delivered from a rock concert, forcing the croc to get creative with that night's dinner menu. So I'll read that one more time because there's a lot going on there. There's been a mix-up. A Crocodile Chef's restaurant accidentally gets musical instruments delivered from a rock concert, forcing the croc to get creative with that night's dinner menu. So that's our prompt for today, or coming up. So where do you think our authors might want to go with that?
Well, they say crocodiles can eat anything. So it seems like there's the cleverness of how you're going to put those two kinds of worlds over a rock concert with all the instruments with a restaurant setting. Seems like that's the challenge. A lot of opportunities for creative dishes going on. There should be a little bit of plot that gives you kind of a setting and then some characters. We'll see how it all comes together.
That we will. And yeah, good luck to those diners. I mean, that sounds like the worst. It's like, hey, tonight you're getting a metaphor for a meal. You're like, great. All right. So this is it. All we got to do left is the top 5 sentences of the day. And with no further ado, here they are. Number 5 from Racontus. The hullabaloo was not on their itinerary, and while they were nosy gals, they decided to ignore the drama and exited the station to the Southwest adventure that awaited them. Number 4 from Red 19. The hullabaloo of the start of the school year had died down by now, and the first grades into the grade book at Santa Fe Elementary meant that Redbot Penbot's takeover of the administration was nearly complete. Number 3 from Meat French. A crash echoed from the back. Myrtle peeked around the corner, finding a feral raccoon dancing on an anvil covered in iron filings. Santa threw up his arms. Number 2 from Slice. She exclaimed monotonously, outrageous that it occurred while she slept. Mrs. Doubtfire remake. Belarus invasion, goose flu, library collapse, flannel tariff, camera alert, Dell came home at 5 a.m., atmospheric warning, mayor resigned. And the number one sentence of the night from Jay Pratt: I was rolling dice outside of Uncle Wilson's Korean barbecue and karaoke joint when she rolled up on me with those soulful eyes, and I knew we weren't in Santa Fe anymore.
Wow. Incredible, incredible range on the reverse Mad Libs today.
I love it. That's why we play, folks, to get that good stuff to you. And that's about it.
One order of housekeeping to all of our authors out there. If you submit to Clash of the Pencils, you will get an error alert. Rest assured, this is a fake error or a shallow error that we are still trying to figure and wrangle our backend database on the wonderful service that is AWS. But we can get your story, and then we can have the voting. Everything should go off as normal. So submit as normal and ignore the error messaging.
All right, there you go. So if you submit today and potentially throughout the week, you might get an error message. Ignore it. We are getting your stories in, so don't worry there. And if you want to play along and you haven't downloaded the app yet, the links are in the YouTube description right there. So just pick whichever one you want, the iPhone or the Android, download it and play along. So that's it. So until tomorrow, keep those pencils sharp.
And kids, don't let your creativity get captured.
Un jaguar busca y busca agua clara en la montaña, bebe del manantial, pero no es como el oro. La cola dorada que las fieras ansían, de Peyoyo cola es la que el corazón guía. La cola de oro, la cola que anhelo, no hay comparación en mi reina entero. El manantial es fresco, el agua pura brilla, pero algo le falta, de Peyoyo maravilla.